Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about dealing with insecurity of other people. I'm going to find some better way of. You'll see the title. I don't know what to actually call this, but it's dealing with insecurity in other people. So, this is because of an event that happened last weekend. So, I was out with some friends, and at one point, I was waiting for some girlfriends to get out of the bathroom. So, I was just standing beside the bathroom, like every gay guy does. And I started I started chatting with this girl, and I was in my cowboy hat. I'm 6'1", so I'm like kind of a big guy. And so chatting with this girl, she was super nice, really, really lovely. And at one point she was like, "Oh, I should just let you know, like I have a boyfriend." And I was like, "Oh, like I'm gay." And she was like, "Oh my gosh." And like kind of lit up and was just like, "Oh, okay, I feel safe." And so we really just like hit it off and we were chatting and it was just really enjoyable. Um, and then her boyfriend came out of the bathroom and got super aggressive. And this boy might have been 5'10", little scrawny boy, wearing a stupid toque halfway. So he looked like just like a loser. I'm sorry if you wear your toque like that, but in the middle of May in Canada, that is just weird. I'm sorry, but anyway, he came out and was about to get very aggressive. And Grace, the girl, she got in between us and she was like, no, stop, stop. And I can't remember his name, but she said his name like, James, don't, he's gay. And this little boy, this little child decided to start calling me the F slur. If you don't know, you can Google it, but I refuse to say it on here. Yeah, and this guy really started beaking off and mouthing off at me. Um, and I have to say, and being very honest, and you guys know me very well, I was pretty annoyed by this. And I was very much, if we had gotten into a big fight, I would have not been too upset because one, this boy would have lost. And two, I know the bartenders and a whole bunch of the security at this particular place. And so I knew if anyone was getting bar banned and if anybody was going to get the stuffing beaten out of them, it was this boy. Um, and so I was a bit annoyed. And this boy clearly wanted to fight and was clearly like giving me the eyes, which I don't quite understand because you come out of the bathroom and your girlfriend is talking to a gay guy. Is that really such a problem? And then in order to like start hate criming and like slurring me out, like, is that really necessary? And as a result, a bunch of my girlfriends got out of the bathroom and just jumped on this guy and was like ready to go for him. And I had to like pull them away and, whatever. And later on, the girl came up to me and like was extremely apologetic. She's like, "I'm so sorry. Like that is such garbage." And my friend said to her, like, "You should really rethink your choice of boyfriends." And she was like, "Yeah, this has, been quite an eye-opening experience for me." And I said, "Girl, it's nothing to do with you. It's just, some people are jerks, and especially while alcohol is involved. And so this story is meant to sort of explain insecurity because I was thinking about this the next day when I was recovering from the really fun night I had, because that was just one small part of an incredibly enjoyable time that I had with friends. And, just I really enjoyed it. I do not want you to think that this ruined my night by any standard. I mean, not at all. And so the next day I was thinking about it and I was thinking, he must have felt so insecure. This annoying, frustrating little boy who just happened to, be dating this really beautiful, really funny, like, I was talking with her for a little bit and she was absolutely lovely. She was such a pleasure to talk to. She was so interesting, so kind, so funny. And it was just a short little conversation we had, but he must have felt so insecure and inadequate compared to her, that, feeling threatened by a gay man talking to her, like, can you imagine the level of insecurity that would take in order to feel threatened by me? Especially once you find out that I swing for the other team. Like, that is absolutely peak insecurity. And the way he was dressed and the way he acted and what he said just all screamed insecurity. And this boy had no self-preservation, no common sense. We were definitely not on an even footing, in any way, regardless. Um, and I just think that really speaks to people's insecurity and what people will do to try and feel secure in themselves and to try and remove that insecurity from themselves. And so it's got me thinking this whole week about what people do in order to look secure and to look. And it comes down to overcompensating and really trying to express something that they're not, and to be something that they're not. And I know, like, where I live particularly, we are quite famous for having these massive pickup trucks that are souped up. They've got these raised lift kits. A lot of them will roll coal, which means they take out the catalytic converter in their car so that when they rev the engine, black smoke piles out of it. And, they get the big subwoofers. And we always like to joke that those guys, and it's always guys who drive these massive overcompensating vehicles. We always joke that they're overcompensating for a very particular physical trait that they're not well endowed in. And I know, like, it's a common joke and ha ha ha, very funny, but I think there's a lot of truth to that kind of thing. And apologies if you drive one of those things and you are well endowed, but I think this insecurity is really pathetic. And it's really sad that these people feel so insecure about it, because 9 times out of 10, nobody else is picking up on it. Like, if you can just live your life in a decent way and treat people with respect, nobody's going to, have this thought of, oh, I bet he's small down there, or, I bet he's super short, or, humans don't initially make those really harsh judgments on people. It's only when these people start to overcompensate and they start to act up and they start to act rude or mean, or they buy a stupid truck that doesn't fit their lifestyle and is just completely incompatible with the way the world's moving. There are there are so many of these things where you look at someone and you go, man, that is such an overcompensation. And it's so unnecessary. And I'm going to give you an example of this unnecessariness. So a lot of men think that their height is a real issue. A lot of men are very sensitive about how tall they are. And I have met men who are 5 feet square, 5 feet tall, and they do not care. They have a great personality. They are so interesting, built well, they have the traits that people desire. And when you're in a room with them, they are just them. There is no overcompensation. There's no Napoleon syndrome, as we call it. And that's all kinds of screwed up because Napoleon wasn't actually short. But anyway, that's what we call it. There is no issue with overcompensating. However, I have met men who are 5'6" and feel so inferior to the point where they feel that it's acceptable to come up to me and just start a fight, because I don't even know why. I don't know what the justification is. I think maybe it's like, maybe if I beat up this guy who's like 6'1", maybe that will make me taller. That will make everybody see that I'm worthy. And they don't realize that action makes you look so much more inferior and so much more like you are overcompensating and you're trying to fulfill something that you're not. And you're doing it in a really awful way, because you're trying to tear someone down in order to build yourself up. And that kind of overcompensation is really sad. And the guy at the club probably doesn't realize it, but and I don't know, maybe their relationship is fine, but maybe they broke up over that. Don't know. I'll probably never see them again. Doesn't matter to me. But the idea that you can feel so insecure that you let it ruin your night, you try and ruin someone else's night, and you make your girlfriend feel like she has to apologize to me 400 times, that's not good. Because, like, he ruined her night. I can tell you that much. Like, they went home after that. They left the club, and that ruined her night. She was having a great night. We were chatting, having a great vibe, and he could have just come up and said, oh, hey, what's going on here? And she could have said, oh, Jack's gay, like, this is fine. And he could have responded really cordially, and I could have been like, you've got an absolutely beautiful girlfriend, man. Have a great night. And that could have been it. But no, it had to be this really aggressive thing where the guy almost got leveled and almost got kicked out of the club and all of these things. And, she felt so uncomfortable and so embarrassed, which is a real shame because it so didn't have to happen. And he could have come out of the bathroom and been secure in his relationship and who he is and himself. And, it wouldn't have been an issue in the slightest. But because of that insecurity, because of that inferiority complex, maybe he had a bad home life. Maybe they've had problems in the past. I don't know. But, you cannot let other people's insecurities affect you. You cannot let it ruin your night. And it also made me realize like just how much people's overcompensation for insecurity is like put on other people. Like I'm a big people pleaser. I worry about what people think about me. I'm always like, oh gosh, I hope they're feeling okay about me. Like I hope I didn't say anything dumb. But this makes me realize that so much of it has nothing to do with me. It really has nothing to do with who I am as a human being. And it has a lot to do with the person's inner thoughts, everything going on up here. And that makes me feel really good because I realize like, oh, this has nothing to do with me. This is completely, this is a fabrication of their mind. This is their problem. It's not my problem. I can wish them the best. I can be understanding at best. But at the end of the day, like it comes down to their actions and their behavior. And I don't have to change who I am. I don't have to be a people pleaser for these people. And that was really freeing this week. I was really like, man, if he can feel so insecure about that and like try and ruin my day, like I wasn't in the wrong. The girl wasn't in the wrong. She told me, oh, like I have a boyfriend, like I'm sorry. And I was like, oh, I'm gay. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, oh my gosh. And that made her feel comfortable enough to have like a really good chat with me. And yet like, he did something wrong. It was his problem. It was his insecurity, nothing to do with us. And that makes me feel really better about, like, I have social anxiety, as you guys know. And so it makes me feel better about interacting with people because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't my bag. This isn't my problem. This isn't my issue. I am doing good. I'm being a compassionate, understanding human being. And I can't account for other people's insecurities. I can't make you 6 foot tall, but you realizing that it really doesn't matter if you're 6 feet or if you're 5 feet, maybe that's the solution that people need to hear. So there you go, a little story time and my thoughts about it. Yeah, so I guess like my best advice summarized properly, which would have saved you 13 minutes, but sorry. My best advice is don't let other people's insecurities affect who you are or what you're doing or the path that you've chosen for yourself. And ask yourself, are any of my insecurities holding me back? Are any of my insecurities making me, into something that I don't want to be? Because you would be amazed at just how much confidence will get you, and genuine confidence, genuinely feeling like, you know what, I'm doing okay. I've survived a lot. I'm still here and we're going harder than we ever did before. And we're going to conquer this. That mentality, hugely effective, the number of times I've talked to a girl and she's just like, oh, I just wish he was like more confident or like just owned it. It just seems like he's, pretending to be something he's not or overcompensating for something or, I hate riding in that stupid truck. I've heard that a lot. So just be unapologetically who you are without running over other people, without, feeling as though you have to knock people down to feel the same level as everyone else. Because that makes you actually so much lower than everyone else when you knock people down like that. So that is my 2 cents. Leave me your comments and your ideas and your thoughts. Feel free to share stories of people who have overcompensated at your expense. And, we'll talk about them, because it's wild that people decide to do that. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, I'll talk to you